is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA, a weekly recap of your Eagles and news around the NFL. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's. Tonight's show is brought to you by Rob's Automotive and Collision, BCWSA, Chickies and Pete's, Allstate Fairless Hills Tom LaCroix, and Penworth Financial Services, Penn Community Bank, Capital Grill, Ventresca's LTD, Independence Blue Cross, and SEPTA. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report, presented by BCWSA. Now, here are your hosts, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Great to have you with us. We are at Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, beautiful Audubon, Pennsylvania. Merrill Reese and Dave Spadaro, Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside. I feel like we're Glenn Davis.
We're both inside tonight, Merrill, because we're both so happy that the Eagles pulled out a win on Sunday. A little heart palpitations. I'm sure people throwing some popcorn at the television screen while they're listening to you and Mike. But at the end of the day, the Eagles leave New Orleans with a victory, and that's all that matters.
That's all that matters, and the big thing is that they came back from an abysmal ending against Atlanta and played a amazing defensive game against the highest scoring team in the National Football League.
You know, Merrill, that was so, and you could tell right from the start, when the Eagles got off the field, well, not really right from the start because the Saints converted 3 third downs on their first drive, and then they kicked a field goal, and that was the 16th straight possession that the Saints have scored this season with their starters on the field. And then after that, from that point until midway through the fourth quarter, New Orleans had 44 yards of total offense and 2 first downs. The Eagles at the line of scrimmage dominated, led by their defensive tackles, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, and then Brandon Graham and Thomas Booker, and just a whole slew of Eagles attacking the Saints and keeping them in the game until the fourth quarter when the offense put some points on the board.
You know, I have to tell you, Dave, that first drive you're referring to where they marched downfield, I was starting to feel very good about that because the Eagles were making them use a lot of plays, a lot of time. The Eagles' offense didn't get on the field till there was less than 8 minutes left in the quarter, and that they had made the Saints work that hard for a measly 3 points.
Yeah, I thought keeping the Saints out of the end zone there, really critical. And then, you know, establishing that they were more physical than New Orleans, that they were going to attack the Saints, that they were going to make sure that Alvin Kamara did not hurt them on the stretch runs, making sure that there was nothing down the field for a very, very difficult receiver, Rashid Shaheed, who had averaged 24 yards per reception. 5 targets, 0 receptions.
Olave
hurt them, but for the most part, the Eagles, I thought, took it to the Saints. A big fourth down stop. And just an encouraging win all the way around. We've got a lot to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we sure do. We have a great guest arriving here any minute, and we are very, very happy to have Tom Booker with us, Thomas Booker, who is a young Eagle who was on the practice squad last year and is on the 53-man roster this year. And he is an outstanding player, and he hasn't played a lot so far, but whenever he's in, he makes an impact.
Yeah, he had 3 tackles in week 1 on 9 snaps. He played 10 snaps on Sunday. He had a big pass breakup, really active up front, a great story, an incredible young man who's got a wonderful history and somebody that the Eagles are really banking on. As they go through the course of this season, he will play more and more, relieving Davis and Milton Williams and Jalen Carter inside, and I'm looking forward to that conversation.
You know, it's interesting to look at the kind of work that was turned in by Jalen Carter, because here was the guy deemed the best defensive player in the draft 2 years ago, and he was expected to be really a top draft pick, and he slid to the Eagles, and they grabbed him gladly, and we've been waiting. I mean, he's had a moment here or in a game here, but nothing like he had in New Orleans, where they turned him loose, and he was a wrecking ball.
So statistically, and this is why statistics sometimes lie, he had 4 tackles, he had 2 pass breakups, he had 2 tackles for loss. And that is impressive, but not as dominating as the naked eye would indicate.
No.
He had as dominating a game. Now, we've been through the Reggie White days, Maryland, many, many great defensive players. from the very start, the way Jalen Carter commanded double teams, destroyed single blocking. I mean, it was as dominant a performance as I've seen inside in a long, long time. And I'm trying to think of others that have been better. Jerome Brown certainly had some big games, but Jalen Carter showed that when he puts it all together and he's got that intensity and he's playing on his game and he's got the technique, that he will take over football games.
And in his post-game quotes, he intimated that he wasn't happy with the way he played.
Yeah, he said
he
played
I
like
have a lot
trash.
more left.
Yeah, he said he
played
said
like trash.
Trash, right.
I hope he's just as trashy this week when the Eagles are at Tampa Bay.
Merrill, I thought the defense played angry. I thought they played PO'd. I thought they had been criticized so much last week, and deservedly so. They really didn't play the kind of defense we had expected against Green Bay, against Atlanta. I think against the New Orleans Saints, we saw what a locked-in, PO'd, angry, violent defensive line, defensive front can do, and that really helped on the back end. The Eagles locked down on a team that had been averaging 45.5 points per game in the first two wins. The Saints really did very little on Sunday.
It just was a great game to watch, and our guest is making his way to the front of the room. You'll meet him in just a moment. Offensively, Dave, they did what they had to do. The one thing that we're worried about a little bit is the fact that the turnovers are too heavy. They are -4 going into this game in turnovers, and that has to stop. But still, I think that Jalen Hurts is playing well. I think he's doing a lot of good things. He's thrown some great balls. He has shown early in the season that he has not lost a step athletically, and I think that one of the keys was when he read the defense and audibled to that big play with Dallas Goedert that set up the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, big plays. The Eagles rank 5th in the league in plays, according to Pro Football Focus. Big plays in the offense, and chunk plays matter in the NFL. It's really hard to drive 15 plays and 70 yards every time you have the football. So to get a 65-yard run from Saquon Barkley and a 61-yard catch and run from Dallas Goedert, and doing it with Lane Johnson on the sidelines, with Mekhi Becton on the sidelines, with A.J. Brown not dressing, with Britton Covey injured, with late in the game Devontae Smith hurt. It is so impressive. Now, look, they are leaving points on the field. They know that. They're not finishing drives as they want them. I believe that if you can get a win here on Sunday in Tampa Bay, get the bye week, hopefully everybody comes back healthy, I think this offense absolutely takes off, Merrill, because we've seen the talent is there. The scheme is terrific, and I think Jalen will get more and more comfortable in the scheme and reduce the giveaways, which he has to do.
The interesting thing about Tampa Bay is that they were 2-0, and then they took their first loss at Denver last week. Denver had not been a good team, and they gave up 7 sacks. Baker Mayfield was sacked 7 times.
Well, I'm going to tell you that the defensive line is licking its chops, but I think maybe our guests should talk about that.
Okay.
Thomas Booker joined us here.
Let me introduce our guest.
Yeah.
His name is Thomas Booker. He was drafted originally by the Houston Texans. He was a 2-time academic All-American at Stanford University. He has made his mark coming up from the practice squad to the varsity, and already every time he is in, he is doing something great. So, Thomas, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
It is so great to have you with us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I think this week is a great opportunity for us, the defense, to show that we've been consistent and that we can be consistent week to week in terms of providing pressure, getting off the field early. So I'm excited about a great opportunity against a really, really good offense with a really, really good quarterback.
What was your career like at Stanford?
Yeah, so for me, I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Maryland originally. So getting over to Stanford is about a 6-hour plane ride. So definitely a different vibe out on the West Coast versus on the East Coast. But I really enjoyed it. I had great teammates. I had great coaching staff and everything else. And, yeah, similar scheme to what I'm doing right now. I'd be out there probably 90% of the snaps. So, yeah, it was a great time period for me that I really, really appreciated. I'm looking forward to getting back out there at some point.
I would think that you chose Stanford, first of all, because of the academics. Would that be true?
Yeah, that would definitely be true. For me, I was always interested in technology, mobile technology, phones, laptops, computers, for the longest time. So, the way that my mind works, I always try to look up, who's making these things. And it just kept on, ringing a bell with Stanford, graduates and all the rest. So that was where I wanted to go to kind of see where a lot of the Silicon Valley stuff started.
Thomas, I know you're a high recruit. What advantage did Stanford have in the recruiting process? What kind of wooed you to be a Cardinal?
Yeah, so I had talked about this before, but I was super interested just off the top with all the people that I'd seen that created amazing things, amazing apps, and all the rest. And I think just in general, when you look at it, there's not too many places in the country where you can go to a top 5, university in the world and also play, top tier football. You've got guys like Christian McCaffrey that came out and went number 8 overall. You got Solomon Thomas who went number 3. So I felt like it was a place I didn't have to compromise academically or athletically. And that's what I got to do in high school, so I wanted to do that at the next level.
Tell the story about the laptop, or about the iPad.
The iPad, yeah. So there's a pretty cool thing that Stanford did while they were recruiting me. A lot of schools will just send you mail. They'll send you like maybe a card of your projected statistics when you're at the university. I think that's what Notre Dame did. What Stanford did is they actually sent an envelope with a paper iPad, and everything on the cover of the iPad, it was a bunch of these apps. You'd see Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, all these things. And the kick was that every single application on the iPad was created by a Stanford graduate. So it was like 30 apps that everybody uses, and you kind of look at it and you're like, this is where the change makers go, So for me, that was a really, really cool moment where I'm like, wow, this is a pretty big deal to have all of these things we use on a day-to-day basis. Stanford graduates made it.
How tough was it to be at Stanford with the heavy academic load and also the heavy football load?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy, but I went to a really, really good high school in Baltimore, Gilman School. So
As a private school?
Yes, private school. And also I was doing like a 45-minute commute every day, so it was about an hour and a half every day round trip. So me being like right next to all my classes, I was like, wow, this is what it feels like to be able to, actually sleep in a little bit. So definitely not easy, but it was something I've been used to for my high school workload.
Could you play big-time football in that high school?
Absolutely. We were ranked, I think, number 13 in the country.
Really?
My sophomore year. We had probably 30 Division I guys, 3 or 4 guys that went to Stanford, 3 or 4 that went to Bama, Michigan, all the rest of it. So, yeah, I was looking for that same experience in college.
How is being that involved in academics and in football helped you from a time management standpoint? From Merrill, we for many years we see these young guys come into the league and they're overwhelmed by all that is thrown at you early on. Do you think that being so academically involved and balancing that with your athletics helped you handle that load?
Absolutely. I think for me, like even starting in high school, I had all these classes. I had practice every day. I wouldn't get back home until like 7:30, and then I'm back up at 7 or 6:30 in the morning.
Oh.
So for me, it was like learning that time management early on helped me in college when the workload got even crazier. And then when you get to the league, you drop out the academics part of it, so you really can get locked in with your recovery, with all the other things that should be filling your time, so you can be productive when you get out in the field.
For fans who don't understand, what is a typical day in the NFL? Why is it so involved?
Yeah, so typical day in the NFL, it kind of depends on where you are during the week. So for us, tomorrow we'll be practicing, so we'll probably be in the building around 8 o'clock. Meetings start at 8:30. They go until probably 12. We have a walkthrough from probably 12:30 to maybe 1:30, maybe a little bit later. Practice starts at around 2:30, and then we're usually done by around probably 4:30-ish. After that, you're doing your recovery, your prehab, all the stuff that you're doing to stay out in the field. For me, I do like an hour and a half, and this thing's called like a Normatec boot. It basically gets all the soreness and all that out of your legs, on top of some other stuff that I do on like a weekly basis with dry needling, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's definitely something you got to get locked into once you get to that level.
With all of these interests and all of these academic interests, when did Thomas Booker realize that he could make a living playing on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursday nights?
Shoot, for me, I think I realized it probably around my sophomore year. I think
of high school?
Well, no, I was probably my sophomore year of college. I think for me, I was always just focused on being the best football player I could be at whatever level I was. So I think once I got in my sophomore year and I was really starting to, turn it up and dominate, I was like, yeah, I can do this at the next level.
Wow. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with the very impressive Mr. Booker. Mr. Booker, PhD someday, I'm sure.
I'll take that.
And we'll do that right after this.
Awesome.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. What's better than a Sunday brunch? How about brunch on Saturday and Sunday? Weekends from 10 to 2 at select Chickies and Pete's locations. Try one of our delicious brunch sandwiches like chicken and waffle or our incredible breakfast tacos. How about a crab fry skillet featuring our world-famous crab fries topped with egg and cheese? Add peppers and onions, roasted peppers, crab or lobster. Or try our classic avocado toast. Pair your meal with one of our tasty brunch cocktails. Every Saturday and Sunday, 10 till 2 at Chickies and Pete's.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs. A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO today. Ventresca Limited, the Delaware Valley men's store, is located in historic Doylestown. For casual clothing in denim to business suits and tuxedos, Ventresca Limited has a large selection you have to see to believe. The experienced and knowledgeable sales staff can show you the many brand labels that have made Ventresca Limited in Doylestown a must for men concerned about their image. Select from Canali, Brax Jeans, Hickey Freeman, Johnson Murphy Footwear, and much more. Custom alterations are free. Visit Ventresca Limited on the web at ventresca.com.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
Thank you very much. And back we are at Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, and we are delighted to have as a special guest tonight Eagles defensive tackle Thomas Booker, and learning about his impressive background. You've done so many amazing things. Now, while you were at Stanford, we understand that you actually went before Congress as part of a committee hearing on gun violence?
So not while I was at Stanford. It was actually this past summer. I got to do it. Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it.
So, yeah, a couple of months ago. So, basically, one of my teammates in college, his name's Donald Stewart. He's a man that wears a bunch of hats. He actually knows somebody that works at the White House. And through him, basically, I got an invitation to kind of, stand in and listen to a entire discussion about gun violence held by the Office of Gun Violence Prevention at the White House. So it was a bunch of people in the community. There were guys like Bun B from Houston, a bunch of different rappers, entertainers, athletes from all kind of, breaths of life. There was actually the person who acted in Spider-Man as Miles Morales, who was also there. A lot of really, really star-studded people were there. So originally I thought I was going to be standing there sitting in and listening, but they called me up. They said, we have Thomas Booker. He just came out of practice with the Eagles, and we're going to have him come up and talk. So me personally, I haven't been affected by gun violence. No one in my immediate family has, thankfully.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah, knock on wood, thankfully. But I was able to talk about it from like an economics perspective. You know, the way I look at it, it's all about incentives, and people, you know, don't want to be doing things that could potentially hurt them, could hurt people that they love, put them in jail, whatever else. So I think the way that I looked at it is when you give people opportunities and alternatives, education, job opportunities, all the rest of it, a lot of the time you see all those incidences of violent crime go down. So, yeah, I got to talk about it from that lens. So, yeah, it was definitely an eye-opening conversation. I was very, very thankful to be in such, you know, rare air when it came to those people.
After you make those comments, because we both live in Center City, and, you know, the gun violence is part of life at times in certain neighborhoods, what happens after you make those comments? Do you feel like you make an impact? Do they take your words and do something with them? Do they go to the next step, the committee? Do they fund programs? What do you think happens?
Yeah, so part of what the entire day was about was talking about exactly what the Office of Gun Violence Prevention has been doing in the communities with the grants that they've gotten. And they've gotten very, very large grants. And from what it looks like statistically, there's been a big impact, positive impact of those grants that they've had in terms of putting money into the communities, in terms of, like, you know, creating boys and girls clubs that people can go to instead of being other places that might not be as productive. So when I make those comments, I think that the cool thing about it was a sounding board for the community to talk to directly to the administration about what works and what doesn't, you know, and give them their perspective. So, yeah, I think that they took everything that we said into account.
You obviously take the platform of being in the NFL very seriously. The impact that you can have on the rest of the world, and the Eagles are really involved, obviously, in the community. How important is that to you?
It's super important. I think at the end of the day, you know, I think we're a better country in general when people are, you know, engaged civically. So, you know, the way that I look at it is I might have a larger platform than someone else, but, you know, I want to show the example that you can stand on, you know, what you care about, and, you know, there should never be a problem with that as long as you're respectful of other people's views. So, yeah, I always think it's a big thing to be involved in your community because that's who you live around, that's who you spend time around.
Thomas Booker is our guest, Eagles defensive tackle. Doesn't it make you sick when you hear all of this meeting and talking and tried suggested solutions, and then you blink and there's another school shooting and innocent people their lives are taken? Man,
it's hard to deal with. I think that, you know, at this point we've kind of gotten desensitized to it because we see it so often, but it doesn't change the fact that, you know, there has got to be a change. At some point something's got to give. So I think that everybody can speak to the fact that when you see another notification on your phone talking about, you know, there's an active shooter or something like that, you know, we might have gotten desensitized to it, but it doesn't make the threat any less real or, you know, any less urgent for us to decrease these incidences.
Do guys talk about serious issues like that in the locker room during the course of a season?
Absolutely. I think we try to keep things light and fun, but, you know, at the end of the day, these are guys that you're going to war with and that, you know, you talk to them about everything. That's the cool thing about football. So we absolutely do, you know, talk about and broach those topics from time to time in the locker room.
Thomas, you were drafted originally by the Houston Texans.
Yes, sir.
And I bet you got to know one of my really close friends who I talk to all the time, and I played golf with many, many times, David Culley.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He was your coach.
So David Culley. So I think it was actually Lovie Smith that was our guy while I was there.
Was David gone?
He was. Yeah, I think he had left just previous to that. So I got to. I knew of him.
That's right. Yeah.
Knew of him, but didn't get to speak to him too much.
Dino Vasso is the defensive backs coach, I think. There.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Former Eagle guy as well.
Yeah.
How did you like Houston? What did you think of Houston as a football community and as an organization?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, eternally thankful to them for giving me a shot to play, you know, in the NFL. And honestly, you know, Texas, they breathe football. So I think it's a great organization, a great city. They're very, very hyped up about the team. We didn't win as many games while we were there, but, you know, as you can see, as they've won a lot of games this past season, you've seen the fan base turn out. You've seen the stadium be crowded. So it's definitely a great place to play football, and thankful to that organization for giving me a shot.
What was your football life like in Houston?
Oh, man, football life in Houston, definitely a lot hotter. That's for damn sure. It was definitely a lot hotter, definitely a lot more humid. But in general, the days are kind of similar. Usually you start early in the morning, you end up around 5 or 6 p.m., and, you know, it's the grind that goes along with preparing yourself to play week to week.
Is the culture of Houston fans even comparable in any way to what you've experienced with Eagles fans?
I would say that it's definitely a difference. You know, I think in Philadelphia, the fervor that the fans have and just the general excitement and how locked in they are is just at a different level to anywhere that I've ever been.
Now, going back a bit, Did you play for David Shaw at Stanford?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I played 4
Also
years.
a former Eagles coach.
Yeah, I did play for Coach Shaw. Great guy. Love him.
And I am surprised to this day that he's not in the NFL, because I know that every team at some point was interested in getting David Shaw, and he just wouldn't leave Stanford.
So that's actually an interesting thing. I just recently saw this. I think that he's with the Broncos.
Is he really?
Yeah, I just recently saw that. So I think he's with the Broncos. I think Condoleezza Rice is one of the minority owners there, and she actually, when I first did my recruiting visit to Stanford, she was there as well. So
Did you meet her?
yes, I did. I got to meet Condoleezza. That was really, really cool. She actually does a summer internship program that a lot of the football guys end up going to. So yeah, a little bit of the Stanford.
Our former Eagle, J.J. Arthega-Whiteside, interned for Condoleezza Rice.
Yep, there it is.
That's a connection. That's a good one. You're a technology guy, Thomas, but all of this impact work that you're doing in the public sphere, do you now have a little peak of interest at all in politics or in policy making?
It's actually funny. I think people in the facility always joke. They call me like a politician or something like that. I don't know if that's where I'd want to go ultimately. There's definitely some kind of interest there, but I've always wanted to be like the CEO of a tech company. And, with corporate things, there's some kind of politics there as well. So I'm not sure, but definitely something I would keep my eyes open to. I just want to figure out, ways to make positive change.
You know what's interesting to me? You started out as a tennis player, and that was my prevailing sport growing up.
Tell people how great you were, Merrill, because you were a great tennis player.
I was a competitive tennis player.
He was he's got a mansion full of trophies.
Yeah, he sounds like he's understated.
Played a lot of tennis. Never won a world-class level, but played it and loved it. How far did you go in tennis?
So for me, I started when I was around 6 years old, and I probably stopped around when I was 12 or 13. I loved going to summer camp and playing tennis every year, but for some reason, I just never actually got in the competitive circuit with it. For me, it was great conditioning, it was great mental toughness, all the rest of it, but I probably stopped right around the time that I started playing.
Now, you have a sister who played varsity tennis at Princeton.
Yep, yeah. So my sister, Sydney, she played varsity tennis at Princeton. When she got there, she also played basketball in high school. So, yeah, we always play a sport in my household.
And you have a father who played football at the University of Wisconsin.
Yes, sir. Yeah, he played at Wisconsin, and in the early 80s, he actually played against Jim Harbaugh when he was in Michigan.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, so he actually, he tells me and laments it to this day that he had a day where he was in the backfield 3 or 4 times against Michigan, could not get him down one time. To this day, he talks about it, yeah, but my dad played there.
What is your family involvement in terms of them sharing the NFL experience with the Eagles? Are they part of the joy that you have and the rise and the journey that you've taken?
Absolutely. I've always appreciated how present my family has been at every single stage of my career in terms of athletics, academics, and all the rest. They were making the 6-hour trip to Stanford on a weekly basis to see me play. Now my dad or my mom or my sister or somebody else is always at a game. So absolutely they're part of that process.
I tell you, I wonder if the feeling they have when you went from Houston to not working out in Houston, that period of indecision, what was their role in kind of bringing up your spirits? I mean, how did you handle that rejection, if you will?
Yeah, no, I think the great thing about my family is they've always been into positive reinforcement, and they've always, told my sister and I all the things that we could do, right? So I think at a certain point, sometimes you get knocked on your back and you start, maybe not believing those things or whatever else. But when you constantly have people speaking love, positivity, and power into you, which is what my parents and my sister have always done, you start, again, believing that that's what your power is and that's who you are. So I've always been so appreciative of them because throughout that period of time, they kept telling me, this is you, this is what you can do, all the rest. So gave me confidence.
Thomas, you joined the Eagles practice squad last season, have worked your way up. Why has it been a good fit for you as a Philadelphia Eagle?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the coaching staff, in terms of Coach Hurt, the guys that I have, my teammates, Milton, JD, JC, Morrow, Gabe Hall, all those guys, Byron Young that we just got. All those guys have pushed me to greater heights. And I think in terms of a scheme fit, Coach Fangio was at Stanford in 2008. So a lot of our defensive principles are similar to what he runs.
He's a great coach.
Great coach. Yeah, great coach. And even to the point where, when we're doing install in training camp or even, in the spring, I was seeing a lot of commonalities between stuff that I still had in my iPad from 2018 through 2022.
How complex is it?
Yeah, I think it's a multiple front defense, and I think the great thing about it is that Coach Fangio understands that he has players that can diagnose the game when they're on the field. So he gives you a bit of kind of freedom within that scheme to adjust things, to be able to play them and have more of an advantage of what you have going on. But it requires a knowledge holistically of what's going on.
Now, you're not one of those guys who starts and who has a whole lot of snaps, but you get in there for a bunch of snaps. How tough is it to come off the bench and come in and make an immediate impact?
The way that I look at it is I'm trying to maximize any opportunity I get on the field, So whenever I get on the field, you might have, been out there for 1 or 2 snaps and you got to come out and then come back in. But, I look at it like this. I'm rested. So, when I get out there, I'm going to be playing, like my hair's on fire. So I try to take any opportunity I have and run with it.
And you are making a difference, and you are making an impact, and the energy is very obvious. And let's talk about the performance when we come back here, Merrill.
Okay.
In New Orleans, and Thomas and the rise of this defensive line in New Orleans and what we have to look forward to in Tampa.
Okay, and you're listening to Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB at 107.3 FM and seen live at WBCBsports.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium and tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Penn Community Bank, we're not just your bankers, we're your neighbors. That comes in handy when you're purchasing your first place, refinancing an existing mortgage, buying a second home or investment property, or looking to tap into your home's equity. Whatever your situation, we pair the latest products, services, and technology that you need with the experienced banking professionals you want. Visit PennCommunityBank.com or stop by your local branch to find out how we can make your family's growth personal. Penn Community Bank. Here we are and here we grow. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO today. Ventresca Limited, the Delaware Valley men's store, is located in historic Doylestown. For casual clothing in denim to business suits and tuxedos, Ventresca Limited has a large selection you have to see to believe. The experienced and knowledgeable sales staff can show you the many brand labels that have made Ventresca Limited in Doylestown a must for men concerned about their image. Select from Canali, Brax Jeans, Hickey Freeman, Johnson Murphy Footwear, and much more. Custom alterations are free. Visit Ventresca Limited on the web at ventresca.com.
BCWSA customers, former Phillies pitcher Tommy Green here. I played on the 1993 National League champs, so I know a thing or two about what it's like playing on a winning team. BCWSA has all the ingredients. They make it easy for their customers to get automatic updates by text, email, or phone anytime there is a disruption in your service area. You can even customize your alerts by going to bcwsa.net. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, your partner for a safer environment. BCWSA, proven.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
And here we are presented by BCWSA, and it is time now for this week's injury review, brought to you by the attorneys at Bagley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. I will let you handle this all by yourself, Dave Spadaro.
Thank you, Merrill.
Give us the injury report.
Well, I really don't know. It's a lot of wait and see. The Eagles coming out of the game in New Orleans with a victory and a testament to the depth on this roster. But there were some casualties in the game. Lane Johnson out for the game with a concussion. Mekhi Becton leaving the game with a finger injury. Britton Covey, of course, placed on IR today with a shoulder injury, a broken shoulder. Jack Stoll added to the active roster from the practice squad, tight end. And John Ross, wide receiver, added to the practice squad. Devontae Smith left the game late on Sunday with a concussion. Darius Slay left the game late with a leg injury. Those injuries will be updated when the Eagles return to the practice field on Wednesday. And, of course, A.J. Brown missing his second consecutive game on Sunday with that hamstring injury. No update on his availability for Sunday in Tampa Bay.
You just made it sound like they have about 6 healthy guys.
Well, and that just speaks
Thomas,
to the depth.
You're one of the 6, right?
No, he's great to go. He's ready to go.
Indeed, I'm very much ready to go.
How do you the idea of playing through injuries is something that is there is certainly some valor in that. Tell us about some experiences that you had playing. I mean, nobody is feeling 100%. Even 3 games into the season, your bodies are beaten up.
No, that's the truth. I mean, last year when I was on practice squad, I came over to Philadelphia and I still had, I just gotten this operation done on my hand.
Nice scar?
Yep, nice little symmetrical scar at least. But yeah, I had to come in and I had to play with like a club in my hand. So I was going against, Kelsey and all them guys with one hand for a good 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah, I definitely understand the concept of that. But yeah, in the NFL, like at a certain point, you're putting a lot of strain on your body. So, it's very rare for you to feel 100%. Guys grind through it. That's why you do all that active recovery.
And you love the game. There's only 17 times you have in a season to go out and play football. It's that, and you don't want to miss time because there's somebody waiting to take your spot.
Absolutely. The NFL is what have you done for me lately league. And when you're not out there, that's what happens sometimes. So definitely a competitive space that you always want to be available for. I think they always say the best ability is availability.
That's right.
You say it's what have you done for me lately? It's also been called the NFL, the not for long league. Mm-hmm. So you have to fight, and you look at certain guys who are able to have long, productive careers. One who you got to know as a practice squad member, but who is now he's on television every 10 seconds, is Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, no, Kels is obviously a Hall of Fame player, but also just a great guy. I know last year I would ask him questions about what worked, what kind of things he would see from me when I was leaning one way, whatever else, and he gave me great detailed advice. We kind of just, talked about technique and all the rest of it. He was always willing to be, a hearing person with all that sort of stuff. So I always appreciated him, and it makes sense that he's on TV. He is a very, very charismatic dude.
Thomas, you came on strong in the preseason. Your thoughts going through that process on your chances to make the 53, then you did. What was it like, and how have things gone in the regular season for you?
Yeah, I think for me, the way that I looked at it was, if I put my best foot forward every single day, I'll be proud of the effort that I have at the end of it, and I know that my potential is somebody that can absolutely play, contribute, and dominate in this league. So I tried to put my best foot forward every single day when it came to practices, when it came to preseason games. And, at the end of the day, there's certain things that are, uncontrollable. So once I played that last preseason game, I felt very comfortable with the effort that I put out. And, thankfully the organization felt the same way.
I might be one of the few broadcasters in the NFL who actually loves to broadcast preseason games. Most of them say, get these games over and let's start real football. I feel the other way. I feel, number one, I'm not concerned whether the Eagles win or lose those games, but I'm in practice every day. And I see these young guys compete for jobs, and then you get to see them in a football format. I think it's very, very intriguing to watch guys step up. You flashed during the preseason. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. flashed during the preseason. You see guys like that who really show something. And another guy who did it is Johnny Wilson. And he's playing an increased role. So I think the preseason can be very, very interesting.
Oh, I would agree. I think any time that you get to step out on the football field against NFL talent and prove your mettle and just get more comfortable, I think it's a super valuable opportunity. You know, as you can see with guys who have great preseasons and then come into the year feeling warm, like they've already been making plays. So, yeah, definitely an important time, I think, for me and for a lot of guys.
I feel like, Thomas, your best football is certainly in front of you for many reasons. And one of them is that this defensive line, it takes, I don't know, as long as any position to learn from the college game to the NFL game, to master the technique, to understand that the players you're going against are, 5, 6, 7-year veterans. They know all the tricks of the trade. Why is the jump so difficult, if you agree with me?
Yeah, I think, I think a lot of things depend on what system you come into and all the rest. But at the end of the day, as you move levels, in high school you could get over on straight athleticism. You could run by people. You were faster, stronger, bigger. I think in college the margin of error goes down again. You are still able to maybe dominate with athleticism, but not as much. And I think at the NFL, because the filter's been applied yet again, that margin of error just gets razor thin. So you have to truly be locked into the details of pre-snap. What am I seeing? Am I seeing a tilt to the left? So I'm going to widen my alignment out a little bit more so I can play the reach block that I might get. Versus in college, you might not have been, dialed into all those details. But in the NFL, you have to be on a snap-by-snap basis to find any kind of advantage that you can get over your opponent pre-snap.
How have you learned to watch film, and how much better have you gotten at watching film through the years?
Yeah, I think that's all credit to my coaching staffs that I've been under, and also just me growing as a player and seeing tendencies. Understanding when they're in shotgun and they have a back offset to the left, most of the runs are going to be going the other way. That sort of stuff. So. Yeah, for me, it's just been, being locked into the details as the years have gone on.
What is your diet like?
My diet, so I try to stay away from, a crazy amount of carbs, but I don't have a specific, calorie counter thing. I usually try to go off how I feel. I try to limit my eating between probably 8 p.m. and 6:30. I think that's more of the key than anything else in terms of the whole intermittent fasting trend. But yeah, other than that, I'm not too strict with it.
Well, we are in a carb capital here. Chickies and Pete's has the best carbs of all.
But they also have great burgers and steak sandwiches.
Yeah, salads. Field green salad, yeah.
They have great pizza.
They have great everything. Thomas, first 3 games here, this defense has gotten better and better and better. Sunday in New Orleans was unbelievable. I described it as playing angry, PO'd. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think that when you see a standard that hasn't been hit, so far in the year, you feel urgency about putting that on tape. And I think everybody, when we got out there, probably, during the first quarter, we're sitting there like there's no reason why they should be scoring on us at all. I think that we understood what we had in the trenches and what kind of guys we were. And at the end of the day, the standard is what we set in that game, and that's what we need to continue to aspire to even get better than,
Yeah, Dave and I were talking about players off and on the field and how their demeanors change. And because you're a ferocious football player doesn't mean you're that way off the field. I'm blessed in that at the beginning of my career, I got to know and become a very close friend of Reggie White. And there was nobody more human, nobody more wonderful to the people outside the sports world. He gave so much of himself. And then another guy who played more recently, but I'm sure you watched growing up, he was Wolverine Man coming out of the tunnel, one of the most hard-hitting safeties in football history, and a Hall of Famer in Brian Dawkins.
Yep.
But off the field, that wasn't him. Now, I'm looking at you. You're intelligent. You're an intellectual. You're a Stanford graduate. Can you get mean on the field?
Absolutely. I think that you look at football as the one time where you get to let everything kind of hang a little bit. That's how I look at it for me. I'm very, composed, all the rest of it when you see me day to day, but that is the one time where I get to be, as ignorant, as aggressive, as angry as possible and feel no shame about it at all.
Do you talk? Do you yell?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's stuff that I probably wouldn't repeat
Sure.
on this broadcast because my mom would probably be angry at me.
Not only that, we'd get thrown off the air.
Exactly. But, yeah, no, I think that that's the wonderful thing about ball is that you get to get all of that aggression and anger out. There's a reason why I'm so calm when I'm on a day-to-day. Because I get all that out when I'm in the facility, when I'm on the practice field, weight room, and all the rest.
How do you flip the switch? What is your pregame routine?
So me personally, I listen to certain music that I like that gets me into a mode of feeling powerful, all the rest. But other than that, it really is just being locked into what's going on. really. Like when I get out in the field, I'm like, it's right here, right now. The moment's not too big because it's right here in front of me.
First time you ever stepped on an NFL field, did you gulp and dry mouth, and did you feel it, that it was not too big, but that it was pretty darn big?
Yeah, so I don't think I had the dry mouth thing happen to me, luckily. But, yeah, you do feel, when you kind of look down, you see that you have NFL equipment on and all the rest of it. It's just a different stage, and kind of a different, stand to be on. So for me, it was definitely nerve-wracking, but I think as you get more and more accustomed to it, you get some of the phased nature out of the way.
Okay, we have Thomas Bucker with us here at Chickies and Pete's, and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. What's better than a Sunday brunch? How about brunch on Saturday and Sunday? Weekends from 10 to 2 at select Chickies and Pete's locations. Try one of our delicious brunch sandwiches like chicken and waffle or our incredible breakfast tacos. How about a crab fry skillet featuring our world-famous crab fries topped with egg and cheese? Add peppers and onions, roasted peppers, crab or lobster. Or try our classic avocado toast. Pair your meal with one of our tasty brunch cocktails. Every Saturday and Sunday, 10 till 2 at Chickies and Pete's.
At Penn Community Bank, we're not just your bankers, we're your neighbors. That comes in handy when you're purchasing your first place, refinancing an existing mortgage, buying a second home or investment property, or looking to tap into your home's equity. Whatever your situation, we pair the latest products, services, and technology that you need with the experienced banking professionals you want. Visit penncommunitybank.com or stop by your local branch to find out how we can make your family's growth personal. Penn Community Bank. Here we are and here we grow. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When an Eagles player gets hurt, the team takes care of him. When you get hurt, the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will take care of you. They understand that a severe accident can be a life-altering event. You need a reliable teammate to fight for you. The attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will get you great results. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee. Contact them today at 215-750-0110 for a free consultation. 215-750-0110 for a reliable ally that's on your side.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs. A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Planning to go to the game? Give LimoToday.com a call. You'll get to the game and back safely and in style. Why worry about the traffic and parking when you can relax and let LimoToday.com do the driving for you and your friends? And if you book a 5-hour trip with LimoToday.com, you'll get the 6-hour free. From sedans to minibuses to vans and stretch limos, let LimoToday.com get you to the game. Give them a call at 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. That's 1-866-LIMO-TODAY. Ventresca Limited, the Delaware Valley men's store, is located in historic Doylestown. For casual clothing in denim to business suits and tuxedos, Ventresca Limited has a large selection you have to see to believe. The experienced and knowledgeable sales staff can show you the many brand labels that have made Ventresca Limited in Doylestown a must for men concerned about their image. Select from Canali, Brax Jeans, Hickey Freeman, Johnson Murphy Footwear, and much more. Custom alterations are free. Visit Ventresca Limited on the web at ventresca.com.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. And here's the pitch. BCWSA water and sewer customers, you have a new and improved option to pay your bill that's convenient, reliable, and secure. Powered by Invoice Cloud, you can pay your bill 24/7 online, pay by text or phone, or sign up for AutoPay to avoid fees for late or missed payments. Visit bcwsa.net to sign up or for more info. That's bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts, Eagles insider Dave Spadaro and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
Here we are back at Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, and the keys to the game brought to you by Penworth Financial. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit penworth.com. Well, David, the keys to the game, I will go with one. You can go with two, and we will ask our guest, Thomas Booker, to provide number three.
Okay.
My number one, because I was at Vic Fangio's press briefing today, is to get off to a quick start, because that's what set up Baker Mayfield to be in second and third and long and allowed the pass rush to converge. So that's it. Get off to a fast offensive start.
That's good. And I guess hand in hand with that, I would say the turnover ratio is not sustainable for the Eagles.
No.
And they know it, and that has to. And I will combine that with finish drives in the end zone and don't settle for 3 points. So win the turnover battle and score touchdowns.
Yeah, but can't they settle for 3 points once in a while?
Well, I guess I hear what you're
every
saying.
now and then.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so number three, I think big one for us is we call it AOS, which is after our score defense. So, when the offense does score the ball, being able to get a stop right after so we can start stacking points, I think that's going to be a big key for us, and just overall, carrying that same mentality, urgency, and physicality week through week.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. You don't want to get into a back and forth. If you can, as they say in tennis, if you can hold serve,
Exactly.
And
exactly.
then break serve.
Break serve and then hold it is consolidating the break.
There you go.
Yeah, that would be the key.
But it really, the key is, and Thomas, we're not saying it just because you got to win the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
And so injuries, we have to find out about Lane and about Mackay. And then defensively, you're looking at a Tampa Bay offense that gave up 7 sacks. What happened last week to that Tampa Bay pass protection?
Honestly, I think that it's a mix of, one-on-one wins and also just well-executed, stunts and games. I think that we have guys that can straight rush, and JC and everybody on our defensive line can win one-on-one. And then also just with the coordination we have with our games, making sure that we're taking the right steps, setting guys up, picking the right people, all the rest of it. That's what it looks like, when a defensive line is consistently able to get home.
Thomas, people often ask me, one of the most often asked questions is, after all these years, who's your favorite Eagle? Not only as a player, but as a person. And I answer, I've met a lot of wonderful people. Most exciting was Randall Cunningham, who's an amazing quarterback. Nobody nicer than Reggie White. There were so many. The guy that I work with in the booth, Mike Quick, was an all-pro 5-time wide receiver. So many. But the answer I often give of current guys, I say, if I go into the facility, if I go into NovaCare in the morning, and I happen to bump into Brandon Graham, my whole day just got better.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I mean by that?
1,000%. I think whenever you're around BG, you can just tell the joy that he has for life in general and the fact that he just carries that so consistently. I think my dad likes to call it like a force multiplier. Like, he's that type of guy that, his energy, his happiness, and all the rest of it, his attitude permeates through the entire locker room, the entire team. He has a never-say-die attitude, and he's always got something positive, encouraging to say. There's never a negative moment with him.
What lessons have you learned from him about sustaining your career, longevity? The objective is to be employed in the NFL as long as you can, and he's been in the league for 15 seasons.
You look at the way that, first off, you look at his practice habits. He's a guy that is always, balls to the wall, high effort guy, even in practice, and it shows up on the tape every single week. Last year in Dallas when he ran down Dak for that 1 inch that he had to get, or this past week on the pass deflection that I had, the fact that he had a tight end, 5 or 6 yards in the backfield to make the quarterback roll out so that I could make that play. Those are all plays that you see on a regular basis for him. So that's the kind of stuff that you learn.
You're probably not going to believe this because you're early in your career, but when Brandon Graham was a first-round draft pick, the Eagles traded up to draft BG out of the University of Michigan, he was really not that productive for the first couple of years, Dave. People were saying, did they miss on this number one?
The fans wanted Derek Morgan, I think, who went to the Tennessee Titans, and Earl Thomas.
Who went to Seattle,
who was a great player too.
Yeah, but boy, did he come on. And boy, what a great career he's had.
And he tore his ACL in the first year, was it? Or what was one of the years? Early on, he was injured.
And then late in his career, about 3 years ago, he tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
And look at the career he's had.
Yep.
He is amazing. All right, each week we pick 8 games, no points, no gambling, nothing like that, just win or lose, okay? Thursday night, David.
Wait, let's go back to what were the results last week, Merrill?
Last week, Dave, you were 8-2, and I was
6-2. I was 6-2.
No, you were 6-2, and I was 4-4.
Okay. And so overall, does that mean that I've had a better?
You've had a better year than me so far. Okay, but I say September is a lie. Let's see as the season goes on. All right. Dallas at the Giants.
Ooh.
Dave.
I will take the Giants because I just will never, ever say Dallas.
Okay. Thomas.
I'll also be going with the Giants as well. Malik Neighbors looks good.
Yes, he does.
He does, but I'm picking the Cowboys bouncing back. I'm not rooting, Dave. I'm just picking.
Okay.
All right. How about Washington? Are they that good at Arizona?
Ooh, I'm going Washington. With
I
this
will.
one.
I will reluctantly go with Washington as well. Jaden Daniels, very impressive.
Boy, he is impressive. Absolutely.
Yeah. I played against him when he was at Arizona State, actually, before he transferred over to LSU.
Was he good then?
Yeah, he was really, really good then. So definitely not a surprise to see him doing what he's doing now.
Okay, Denver, and that's Bo Nix. Did you
Yeah.
ever play against him?
So yeah, I think I did play against Bo Nix.
I think he was in college for 14 years.
Yeah, I played against him at Oregon, I want to say.
Okay.
Who are they playing?
They're playing the Jets. I'm sorry. Denver at the Jets. Denver at the Jets, yes.
I'll go Jets.
I'm also going with the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers looks really good, so we'll see.
He really does. He really does. All right. This is a very interesting game. Buffalo, undefeated, against Baltimore, who finally came to life at Dallas.
I go Baltimore. Short week for Buffalo. Home game for Baltimore. Let's go Ravens.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with Baltimore as well. I think they have a chip on their shoulder. They obviously haven't started the season off the way they wanted to. So.
Kansas City was lucky to sneak by Atlanta. Will they beat the Chargers in Los Angeles?
Yes, Kansas City wins that game.
Yeah, I'd also go with that one.
Okay.
All right.
Pittsburgh.
Merrill, you're taking Kansas City.
I'm taking Kansas City, too. Okay. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Steelers are undefeated. They're doing it with Justin Fields.
I think that the Chicago Bears will long rue the day when they let Justin Fields out of their building and took Caleb Williams instead of Jaden Daniels. So I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Wait, we're right. Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes.
Yeah, at Indianapolis.
Yes. So I'm going to go Justin Fields and the Steelers.
Personally, I'm going to go with Indianapolis. I think Anthony Richardson could have a good week. I think that the Steelers obviously have had a great start to the season, but I think that Indianapolis might shock them.
I agree with you, and I think Shane Steichen is a good coach, and he's going to not that Tomlin isn't. He's a great coach, but I still think that this is going to be the week for Indy.
So everyone knows out there to go the opposite way. Go ahead.
Okay. Winless Cincinnati at Andy Dalton and Andy Dalton at Carolina against his old team.
I've got to believe that Cincinnati gets a W, although they lost one of their starting offensive linemen, Trent Brown, for the season. I got to go with the Bengals over the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that as well. I think that Joe Burrow will make a statement.
All right, 3 for the Bengals, and finally the Rams at the Chargers.
The Rams at the Chargers. I will go with the Rams, I think.
Okay, and Thomas.
I think I'm also going with the Rams.
All right, it's the Rams at Chicago.
It was Kansas City and the Chargers.
Rams at Chicago.
That doesn't change anything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm still going Rams.
Okay, Rams. We're all going for the Rams. All right, we are out of time. Our engineer has been Chris Irmer, who's done a great job.
Fantastic job,
Dave,
Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thomas.
Merrill.
You have been an outstanding guest.
Fantastic,
we
Thomas.
look forward to
Awesome.
a big
Thank
game
you.
from you.
Come on.
And Pro
Go
Football
Birds.
Report, the executive producer, is George Forster, PGA. So for all of us, thank you for joining us at Chickies and Pete's. See you on Sunday with the big game coming up from Tampa Bay.
Yes.
Good night, everyone.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W.